I am Iron Man.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right. Yet to fail, nonetheless. I ask you, to what end? Dread it? Run from it? Destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say, I am.
Nerdrotic.com.
Can't believe I'm about to report some good news for Disney. Don't worry, it won't last long. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had a very impressive hold in its second week after a very slow opening domestic week. Unfortunately, this is Disney Marvel we're talking about, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, it's one step forward, three steps back. I'm sure you've already heard that the streaming service that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will eventually end up on, D+, shed 4 million subscribers in its second straight quarterly drop. Streaming losses narrowed, though, by 26%, meaning they only lost about $700 million instead of over $1 billion. Now, Disney will try to spin that it was the loss of the cricket contract in India that led to that 4 million subscriber loss, which is true, but that was also their excuse last quarter. They did lose 300,000 subscribers here in North America. And yes, that kind of spin will work with a lot of entities in the access media and a lot of Disney sycophants. But this came out 2 days ago from The Hollywood Reporter. Disney hit with investor suit over alleged cost-shifting scheme in streaming division. Investors take issue with former CEO Bob Chapek's optimism, well, you say optimism, I say bullshit, about D+'s growth and expected profitability. Now, this is just my opinion, and it's pure speculation that this is something every streaming service is doing to this very day, including D+. Disney's lofty subscriber growth and profitability targets for its streaming service have drawn a lawsuit from investors who claim that the entertainment company misled them about the extent of its losses. Oh no. What does this have to do with the MCU, you ask, dear viewer? Well, quite a bit, and we'll get into that. A suit filed on May 12th in California federal court accuses Disney of engaging in a fraudulent scheme designed to hide D+ costs and make forecasts that it would be profitable by 2024 believable. And considering it's just over 6 months till 2024, I'm not finding any of those forecasts believable, and neither are the investors. It takes aim at ousted CEO and Disney fall guy Bob Chapek's alleged cost-shifting scheme to first air certain shows meant to be D+ originals on legacy TV networks to conceal the platform suffering decelerating subscriber growth, losses, and cost overruns, the suit says. So it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, there's some schemes and scams going on over at Disney+, and I'm sure you are just absolutely shocked by this revelation. And again, I'm sure you're shocked to hear that it's happening at every other streamer to this very day, in my opinion. Now, we know Disney's gonna make Bob Chapek the fall guy, lay the blame at the feet of poor little Bobby after he did his hostage video after the Florida crisis, and now he's off sitting on some Caribbean island, not giving a crap because this is all going to blow over. And Bob Iger got to sit out all the hard stuff like COVID and producing all the crap that he greenlit. From December 2020 and November 2022, Chapek and Daniel repeatedly misled investors about the success of D+ by concealing the true costs of the platform and the difficulty of maintaining robust subscriber growth, in addition to claiming that it was on track to achieve profitability with 230 to 260 million paid global subscribers by the end of 2024. And I'd like to remind you that they just lost 4 million subscribers in a quarter where they fully expected to gain 4 million subscribers. This includes an allegedly fraudulent plan to debut certain shows that were supposed to be D+ originals, including the mysterious Benedict Society, which I've never heard of, and the Doogie Howser remake on its TV networks like the Disney Channel. Now, later on, they did this with shows like Andor by putting it on Hulu and linear TV. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. I'm sure it doesn't, because Bob Iger's in charge and he's an honest guy. We all know that. This brings us to today, because after the success of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, whether it's tepid or not, we still have to find out. Still, It's doing well. People like the movie, but like I said in my review, this isn't the win Marvel was looking for. It could have made $1 billion. It could have made $1.5 billion. But now we are back to our regular scheduled MCU programming. Now we know we're getting Secret Invasion, which is a direct sequel to Captain Marvel without Captain Marvel, but it doesn't have anything to do with the sequel to Captain Marvel, The Marvels, where Captain Marvel was demoted in her own sequel. Starring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury once again, who's probably going to be led around the entire series by Emilia Clarke's character. This will be followed by Loki Season 2. You remember Loki, the show that almost single-handedly destroyed the MCU, starring female Loki, Sophie DiMartino, who will be supported by Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. It comes out October 6th, and in this article, not a single mention of Jonathan Majors. The very same Jonathan Majors just a few months ago, everyone at Disney Marvel wanted to mount.
I had to follow Jonathan Majors, the most charismatic man alive?
Well, considering...
Now we know just a couple of months ago, Kevin Feige, the head of the MCU and the architect of its current destruction, said that Marvel wants to space out shows' releases on D+. I don't know if this is really solving the problem, because here's the strange one. Echo is actually going to be released this year all at once, which is about a couple of weeks after they release The Marvels, which is only a month after they release Loki Season 2. I just want to get this straight. Kevin Feige wants to release 3 pieces of Disney Marvel content within 2 months to spread everything out. D+ changes up its release model plans to launch all Echo episodes at once. Now, I know a lot of you haven't heard about this show, Echo, because quite frankly, it hasn't made a lot of noise. Now, I have a couple of theories why they're doing this. One is pretty obvious, one might not be that obvious, and we'll get into that as well. But one thing is very clear. This is more scheming to hide the fact that nobody's watching these shows. President of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige took to the Disney Upfront stage Tuesday to announce that Marvel's new D+ show Echo is getting a binge release. A first for an MCU series. D+ will drop all of Season 1 episodes on Wednesday, November 29th, after Thanksgiving weekend. Again, Echo is a character you probably haven't heard of because she's not very prominent. She made her first appearance in a Daredevil comic in the late 90s, but now she has her own show, which no one asked for and no one wants, which proves that Kevin Feige is prioritizing the MCU that he created. Again, they introduced Echo, Miss Marvel, America Chavez, and Ironheart before the Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, and all of the X-Men. The Hawkeye spin-off stars Alaqua Cox and Maya Lopez, a deaf Native American character who has photographic reflexes. She is the adoptive daughter of supervillain Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, a character they completely destroyed at the end of Hawkeye, and has been known to fight alongside Daredevil, who wants to take down the criminal underworld. It's reported that Charlie Cox is returning as Daredevil in Echo, and that's one of the reasons they want you to not see this. This is what happens when you paint yourself into the identity politics corner. They've already delayed this show a couple of times. There's already been massive reshoots, and by all accounts, it's a giant turd. Marvel should just pull a Batgirl and pull the plug on this, if anything, to preserve the character of Daredevil so he can be ruined in his own show. But we know that's not going to happen. They've already put tens of millions of dollars into it. They've already shot it and reshot it. It's already been delayed a couple of times. But we all know the real reason it's not going to get canceled. It stars a deaf indigenous amputee. That's just too many check boxes to sacrifice. And to state the obvious, it's not the actress's fault. It's Disney's fault for using an actress with multiple disabilities as a purse puppy. This will be the 4th female-led MCU series on D+, joining WandaVision, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel. And how well have they done for the platform? I mean, aside from the billions lost on streaming and the millions of lost subscribers, I am utterly shocked that the Miss Marvel show didn't keep the subscribers from India around. Disney's new binge strategy is a surprising move from the company and follows in the footsteps of rival Netflix, which swears by its bingeable release model as it drives substantial engagement, especially for newer titles. Netflix previously said in its Q3 2022 shareholder letter. This brings us to my theories as to why Disney Marvel is dropping Echo all at once. The first one is obvious. They know it's going to be a massive flop, and whoever decides to watch this, Disney wants you to forget about it as soon as possible while still needing it to chart, which will lead to my second theory in just a moment. It's likely the company feels the pressure to change up its release approach after losing 4 million D+ subscribers in the recent quarter, bringing the total to 157.8 million. How many of those subscribers are human, active, and paying subscribers? Don't know. In the first quarter of 2023, the streaming service saw its first subscriber loss, dropping 2.4 million subs. Disney plans to save $5.5 billion in overall costs, with $3 billion going towards content savings. This brings us to my second theory as to why Disney Marvel dropped Echo all at once: the Nielsen ratings. Why does Netflix dominate them all the time? Because of the binge model. It's not based on single episodes watched, it's based on minutes watched. And if you release, say, all of Echo at once, it might have a chance to chart. The only problem is, if it doesn't chart, it'll be a bigger flop than even I could possibly imagine. Still, it's a possibility, and God, I hope that happens. But it's already proof that the MCU is the failure we all knew it would be. And this is as close as we're ever going to get to Disney Marvel admitting failure. The move also comes as Marvel rethinks its game plan. Feige previously said the studio wants to be more calculated about which MCU projects get released. It's been argued that many fans are overwhelmed by the wave of superhero shows. No, we're just overwhelmed with all the garbage. And it's time for Marvel to slow it down a bit. Sure, by releasing 3 Marvel products within 2 months. But the bad news doesn't end there for Disney. I've always said that the comics, you remember those, the source material, were both the proving ground and the precursors for things to come, and you can file this under the universe tends to unfold as it should.
Plus, I have a really large penis. That keeps me happy.
Because the poster child for what was known as the SJW Marvel era, which were the early origins of the MCU, is being killed off. Miss Marvel's death in the comics can very much be bad news for the Marvels, for a simple reason. Is Miss Marvel going to shuffle off this mortal coil in the upcoming MCU movie? Unfortunately, no. But let me enjoy this, okay? In 2014, Marvel Comics introduced the new Miss Marvel. The new Miss Marvel that many Access Media digital rags said would be the new Spider-Man as recently as January of this year. The Access Media is dead. Kamala Khan, a teenager of Pakistani-American descent hailing from New Jersey, which couldn't possibly be a self-insert by the character's co-creator Sana Amanat, who is a Pakistani-American hailing from New Jersey. The self-insert is a classic trope of fanfiction and current-year Marvel. Now in the comics, Miss Marvel acquired her superhuman abilities when exposed to the Terrigen Mist, which activated her latent inhuman genes. In the Miss Marvel series that nobody watched on D+, she acquired her abilities by her grandma mailing her a bracelet, and later we find out that she's a mutant, technically the first mutant in the MCU. Miss Marvel has become a popular and influential character given she is Marvel's first Muslim superhero, which is entirely untrue. Forgive me, I'm going off of memory, but I believe there was the Arabian Night, Abdul Kamar, and Dust, who came out long before the derivative Miss Marvel. She has been featured in her own solo comic series, which has been canceled over 4 times. It might be more than that. Sorry, I've lost count. And in recent years, she has made appearances in animated TV shows, video games. Oh, I'm glad you brought up video games. She was the star in the Avengers video game by Square Enix, which only ended up costing the company $60 million. And then there's the MCU, where she made her first live-action debut in the D+ series Miss Marvel, which no one watched except for critics. Her next appearance, this time on the big screen, and I can't wait for this one, will be The Marvels, set to release on November 10th, 2023, unless of course they delay it again. However, some recent news might not sound promising for the young MCU superhero. It was revealed that in the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 26 comic book written by Zeb Wells, Kamala will die.
Oh no! Anyway,
If so, it will be extremely heartbreaking for the 4 fans, as well as it will be unexpected, as the trailer of the movie set the humorous and entertaining tone for the film. Truth of the matter is, Miss Marvel will return in the comics because no characters stay dead except for Uncle Ben, and they'll probably screw that one up soon. And she won't be dying in the MCU anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I think the MCU will die before her. And depending on the Marvel's box office, that could be as soon as this November. So after the brief respite brought on by Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's success, which was a clear holdover from better days, James Gunn is gone. So are the Guardians, as well as any hope that Disney Marvel's gonna get better. Secret Wars is next, which might be the best thing out of the lot that I'm about to announce. Loki, the Marvels, Echo, and then we have Black Falcon, Captain America. Wonder how that's looking. Oof. So what does the MCU have to do with stockholders suing Bob Chapek? Well, from December 2020 to November 2022, Chapek and Daniel repeatedly misled investors about the success of D+, concealing the true costs of the platform. What happened during that time? Well, WandaVision was released, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki Season 1, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk. I don't feel sorry for Bob Chapek, and I find it only fitting that Bob Iger has returned to oversee the disaster that he helped create. And we're just talking about Disney Marvel. On the entertainment side, this is supposed to be the thing that's actually working for them. Since Bob Iger has returned, they've lost 6 million subs on D+, they've lost billions of dollars on the streamer, they're currently getting sued by their own investors. Let's see if Disney can manage to stay out of the bad news for just a week.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Never mind. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com.